You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 253 of Teach Better Talk podcast. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am here with Jeff Gargis, and we're goofing around. We have a great episode, and I'm so excited to get into it. But first, Jeff, can we talk about ice cream really quick? Because I told you I wanted to discuss ice cream.
Sure, you did say we were going to talk about ice cream, but yes, I'm interested now.
Do you keep ice cream in the house?
Yes.
Okay, what flavors do you keep in the house?
Always vanilla, because Jonathan loves vanilla.
That's why I love him most. Keep going.
Very often we'll keep, Amy really likes mint chocolate chip.
Good, love it.
So that's typically the two. There may occasionally be something else, but it's usually because it's left over from a birthday party or something. I don't almost ever eat ice cream, so but Jonathan and Jacqueline, it's typically vanilla.
So
why are you asking?
I'm asking because here's why. I hate grocery shopping, but I've been grocery shopping online and getting it delivered to my house through Instacart, which is the most genius thing since sliced bread. And I was thinking, I'm not a sweets person, so I could get ice cream and I'll have a little bit here and there, no big deal. Jeff Gargis, I've consumed so much ice cream over the past week. I feel like I need to admit it so that my network can hold me accountable. Otherwise, I'm going to turn into an ice cream Sunday. I'm just going to turn into one. So today was cookie dough. Anybody cookie dough? Really?
Ooh, cookie dough's good. So when I have to make what we call in our house emergency runs, which is when Daddy goes to Dairy Queen to get blizzards, Amy typically gets the cookie dough. That's which makes sense that you like cookie dough.
Because I love Amy. Here's what I'm thinking though. I want the cookie dough ice cream. I take it out of the fridge being ooh, I can't wait to try some of the cookie dough pieces in the ice cream. So why am I buying ice cream? Why don't I just buy a bunch of raw cookie dough and save myself the calories?
That's what I was going to say. Instead of the ice cream, I just want the raw cookie dough.
So I think I need to not ever buy ice cream again. I have 2 tubs of it in my house, mint chocolate chip and cookie dough. And then I think once those are done, I'm going to be on a ice cream hiatus and maybe only go cookie dough.
Ooh, do you want to go?
That's what I'm thinking. Is that okay?
Do you want to cut it out? Do you want to follow my plans for cutting out? Because I've cut out. I haven't had cookies in almost 3 months.
I think you're confused. I don't want to cut it out. I just don't want to turn into a ice cream Oompa Loompa. That's really. You just
need to take at least a week break. That's all you're looking for. Just a quick little.
Or
break.
I imagined having it and once or twice a week getting a small little scoop and enjoying it. At the end of the night. That's not what's happening.
Can you buy smaller? The little single serve cartons or something.
Ooh.
Because you'll be less likely to open up a second one. And you could be I finished it, I'm done. But you would have a lot less than if you sat there. Because I'm picturing you right now with the decent sized one, and you get the big spoon.
Yes, but
not the normal spoon. You get the soup spoon,
I know.
The ladle.
But it's bad. So then my other thinking is, and tell me if this doesn't make sense at all, and then we have to talk about something else. Any theory on buying a flavor I don't really like? That way I don't eat it as quickly?
Just don't buy it.
Yeah.
All that's going to do is you're going to have it sit in your fridge and then you'll just eat the ones you like and go buy more of the ones you like.
I think I'm going to buy the most obscure flavor and that's the only ice cream I'll have in the house. And that way I won't eat it because it's I have ice cream.
But I don't like it, so I just won't.
So guys, if you are listening right now, I want you please to share out your favorite ice cream flavor when you take a screenshot of this episode and tell us what your favorite ice cream flavor is. Because I won't get the ice cream flavor you recommend. See how this is reverse psychology.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we done talking about ice cream?
Yeah, I do want to talk about the Come Back Better package, though, before we get into Kari's episode. Because Kari's episode was gold, but the Come Back Better package is a huge thing going on right now, and I don't think we've really talked about it.
Yeah, so these are, we actually launched this back last summer.
Yes.
Which was, it was around the idea of, hey, everything was kind of crazy last spring of 2020. We need to come back better in the fall. And it was that was a response to us having a lot of conversation with current partner schools and those that we were talking to, people in our network of hey, how do we do this? How do we come back and not just survive, right? Mm-hmm. because we were such like a survival mode. We kind of like this year has kind of been that at times too. And so we've been talking more and more about the schools that we'll continue to work with, the teachers we continue to work with, and it's this idea of like, look, I know things are looking better, right? And it's sure, hopefully, is going to continue to go that way. But when we come back in the fall, we have a whole lot of problems that were already there before the pandemic, and some more problems that are either new or heightened because of everything that we've had to do, and all this stuff, learning gaps, you name it all. There's a list goes really, really long. So we still need to have this focus on coming back better. So we relaunched this idea and created these specific packages that focus on specific areas that we can come back better in. Each package includes a variety of things, including like a keynote kickoff, a workshop session, a whole bunch of follow-up and additional resources. They feature a bunch of our Speakers Network speakers to come get your not only get your staff and your school excited and inspired, but also deliver some really strong value and things that they can put into action right away. And that includes, like I said, workshops and follow-up sessions with the team to help not just be a one-off thing, but be an actual implementation of something into your school, into your classrooms to actually really help you actually come back better and continue to stay and continue to be better. And that's really the focus on it. So everything's at teachbetter.com/comebackbetter. You can see the different varieties. And the best part about this is like we have a bunch of packages already created and specialized, but every single one of them, we work with the school to customize to really address their very, very specific needs as well.
So, Jeff, I am going to put you on the spot because I was going to say what my answer was to this question, and now I'm going to ask it to you instead. Do you have a favorite package? Because I have to tell you, if you scroll through the Comeback Better website at teachbetter.com/comebackbetter, there are so many package options, and I feel like as you scroll, they just get better and better. So do you have one that like sticks out in your mind as like, ooh, yes, they're all good, but I really like this one?
I don't know that I do. Like, I would really love to say that, but I don't know that I do. Actually, this is probably not like the best way for me to go as from a marketing angle, but I think my favorite types of packages, honestly, is when we customize them.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's probably not the right way to go because there are some really good ones you'll be like, I want that done, good, going. And even when we do that, we still meet and talk through, but I think there's a couple that are focused on the idea of assessment and grading the new normal, which I really like. There's one that blends the grid method in, which is I always agree with. Me personally, I mean, this is why it's the package that I'm on, quote unquote, is around marketing and rebranding your school, which I think is really important. It dives into the communication and how are you working with your audience to build the right kind of community and culture around your school and how you're pushing that out and sharing that with people. So I'm going to say me. Can I say me?
No,
is that okay?
I mean, yes, you can say you, but I think what I like about the things you've named is we really have given a variety, not only for full staff, which is kind of like all the examples you gave would be awesome for your entire staff or teachers. We also have really strategic ones that are just for your coaches or just for your admin leadership team, or maybe it's only for your classroom teachers because you want to focus on a specific area. So I really loved that we had a variety of all kind of different, like you said, I like that it's customizable for that reason. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, like, whatever you need, like, we got you. Like, that's essentially what it is.
Well,
like,
and dude,
whatever you think you need to focus on to come back better, we've got you and we can support you.
Well, and if you look through them, like, Mandy Freilich is a part of one, Trey Gamage, Dr. Shemaine Bertrand, Joshua Stamper, Caitlin Giordano, Dr. Neil Gupta. I could literally go through. It's every single person on the Speakers Network, a lot of the members of the team, all just trying to facilitate great positivity and solution-minded thinking. So super fun. I'm glad we're able to talk through that because it's a big thing going on right now, and I get questions all the time. So I figured, hey, why not talk about it on the podcast?
Yep, I love it. Yes, so teachbetter.com/comebackbetter for all of that. All right, this episode, we're going to do it really quick. You all know and probably already know and love Kari Pitstick. She is our digital content coordinator. Is that her title?
She's awesome.
I should know that better. She runs everything.
Yep.
How about that?
Yep.
Kari's the boss. She's 7th grade ELA teacher. She works with us here at the team. Can't believe it took us this long to get us on, but we love her to death, and you're going to love this episode. So let's get into episode 253 with Kari Pitstick. Hey, what's up, podcast? It's Jeff. Don't worry, I'm going to get you right back on the episode. But before we do, I just want to make sure that you're aware of a brand new course over at teachbetteracademy.com, and that is Strategic Student Conferencing. Join Ray and Dr. Dave Schmitto as they explore the 5 essential elements of maximizing student conferencing sessions, with the understanding that every educator in every school building, in every community, and every subject area will support students differently during student conferencing, and that's okay. It's time to be strategic with our questioning and the time we have with our students. Fill up your toolbox with strategies you need to make the most of your conference time as quickly as tomorrow. Get it right now over at teachbetteracademy.com. Use the code PODCASTTALK. Save 25% right now. All right, let's get back to the episode. All right, we are here. We are chatting with Kari Pitstick. And Kari, how excited are we to have you on the podcast? I don't know if there's a scale at which we can measure that. You've been part of the team for, I don't even know how long now. I'm sure I probably think it's much longer than you actually have been. But I'm pretty sure we all agree that you're the boss. You are the only person who assigns a task to Ray, and it just has to be done. She can move everyone else's.
That's
Kari's
true.
tasks never get moved. So I kind of can't believe, Ray, that we haven't had her on the podcast yet, but here we are. We got her. So, Kari, I'm really excited to kind of learn more about you, throw some questions at you. But before we get too far into all of that, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good. I can't complain.
Kari, this is like family getting together. Like, we talk about you all the time on the podcast. So for me, it's like surreal that you're here. I feel like I have to whisper to the listeners and be like, guys, don't tell her all the times we talk about her, because you are the one on the team that makes the content happen at teachbetter.com. I'm like so excited to talk about you in a teacher capacity, because you're a full-time teacher. But holy moly, do you do an enormous amount for the team. So before we get into all the questions, all the fun, I want you to first tell us a little about yourself. Kind of like, how do you share all that you do? Kind of answer that age-old question of, hey, Kari, what do you do?
So I am a 7th grade ELA teacher in Northern Illinois, and I think that's typically just how I describe myself to people. But since I started with the Teach Better team, I now can add on that I am the digital content coordinator for the team. And my main goal as a teacher is just to make middle school not horrible for the students, because I think most people remember middle school as just being a really stressful time. And like, that's my main goal, is just to make that not that for them. So that's
Jeff,
how I would describe like what I normally do.
Jeff, what do you think about that? A goal of Kari's life is to just make middle school bearable. What do you think about that?
I don't know. She makes my life a lot more bearable. So you're succeeding on
Me
that front. I act like a middle schooler, so that's probably accurate.
Yeah,
so
sometimes.
I was going to ask you, Kari, because if I'm listening right now and I'm a middle school teacher, I'm going, how do I do that? So, Kari, like, what do you focus on? Like, where does your focus go when you're thinking, when that's your mission of, obviously you got to teach the content and everything too, and you're teaching skills and everything like that, but what do you focus on to make it not horrible?
Oh my gosh, there's so many different things, so many different ways I can go with this. I think for the most part, it's just reminding students that this time is challenging and that the way that they're feeling is normal. And it's nice with ELA that we start each day with independent reading. And I think for so many students to be able to know that they're coming to class and get that time just to like sit in the quiet and read a little bit. And I think that is kind of a good way to start the day. And just taking time to talk to them about things that is not content related. All of those relationship building components are all like little things that you can do to kind of ease that stress that they're feeling.
I love it. I almost want to keep going into my next question that I think some people, if they're familiar with the team at all, they're familiar with the blog and how many posts we put out and stuff, now they're kind of twisting it. So, okay, so during the day, you're trying to make middle school not horrible for students. You're trying to groom the future leaders of our world. And then you do all this work for Teach Better team. And you publish, and how many blogs we have come out in February? 45, right?
45, yeah.
Probably more in March. So the next question is, how do you do all that? Like, how do you do it, Kari? How do you balance that? How do you find your harmony between in the classroom and worrying about your students? Because we all know you don't stop thinking about your students when you come home, but then you do these other things and you're editing posts and you're organizing posts and you're brainstorming series and you go through all these things. How do you do that? How do you handle both? Like, what's the secret, I guess?
Guys, she's Superwoman. That's how she does it. I'm telling you, no matter what
it is, is it a cape?
No matter what she says as her answer, I'm telling you, it's because she's Superwoman.
I think part of it is just, loving my jobs. It's loving my career as a teacher, loving what I do with the Teach Better team. But I think like a more like logical answer is just being organized and kind of planning out what you need to do every week. I know that we've put out like a time management blog series before, and there have been posts about you having to schedule time for yourself. And so I know that at every night at, 9:00, that is my time to shut down the computer. I'm going to read before bed. I have, different things that I schedule into my personal calendar that is time for me. And then anything else, I'm more than happy to put into work and anything because I love what I do and it honestly doesn't feel like work. So I think that's why I don't mind putting in so many hours every day because I truly just love what I do.
I love it. I think you nailed the two biggest points there is that find something that you love doing and then set boundaries and stick to your boundaries and pay attention to your time and where it's going. I love that you have that very set time, specific time that, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm reading before bed. I'm giving myself some of these other things that I love in order to continue loving what I do. So I love that. Perfect answer. So, all right, let's get into one of the questions we ask all of our guests. I always say it and always true. It's one of my favorite questions, which is asking about a failure and overcoming that. So can you share a time with us that you've had a failure that you've had to overcome? Share with us what happened. How did you overcome that? And what did you take away from that experience?
I'm going to take this in more of a general sense. Like I was just talking to you guys earlier about, I think early in my career, just taking things too seriously. I think as a teacher, you're always going to have times when things don't go as planned, whether it be a tech issue or a lesson that doesn't quite go how you envisioned it. And early on in my career, I would kind of take it hard on myself and really think that I did something wrong in the planning or that it was my fault that something had gone wrong. And then also, like when you're stressing about something, I feel like that energy, the students can see that and they can feel that. And I think the more that you can try to not take it very seriously and just know that things are going to go wrong and it's okay. And that's how we learn and grow. And then to show that to your students. So I've kind of taken it from an approach in my past of like things going wrong and being stressed about it to telling my students, all right, things are not going well right now, but we're going to learn from it. It's going to be okay. And I think having that positive mindset is a better energy to have in the classroom. And then the students can see that it's okay to fail. And then when they're doing something, they also kind of carry that mindset over that it's okay for things not to go right. And I think that helps them too with their, as a person in academics. And so I just think that is something that I've grown as an educator and that I would kind of make that like a piece of advice for anyone in education. Just like don't take it too seriously because things aren't always going to go right. And that's okay.
I love that mindset, honestly, Kari, because we were joking about it before we started recording because you took your headphones out of the cup that was in and it was like all tangled and we're like laughing about it. And I love your approach because I think it's very much like a confident teacher approach to just laugh at things when they don't go well and problem solve in the moment and show your students that you're a real human being and you make really great choices. And then there are silly things and bumps and bruises that happen along the way. And if we have this mentality of like laughing through it and problem solving and being a team, it doesn't really much matter what goes wrong because we'll always be able to get through it. And so I love that was your approach with that question because I think that it gives people permission to just kind of relax and enjoy. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's been just so much better, even just for just going through day-to-day things and just knowing that you're not stressed about what could happen because you know that if something happens, that it's going to be okay. And I love being able to go into school, not even having to stress about what could happen. It's taken a lot of like that stress off of what we do every day.
Absolutely. So when it comes to all the things that you do, right, not only in your classroom, also with the team and everything in between, I was excited to ask you question 4 because question 4 is all about what's getting you excited right now about education. And I like to think of this as like what's fueling your fire. So if you had to identify what's going on right now, either with what you do or education as a whole, that's really exciting, what would be your answer for that?
I think probably thinking about grading. I feel like, like the whole like Caitlin and Dave, what they always talk about. When I first started teaching, everything was points. It was like you did this little thing and you get 3 points for it just because it was 3 questions. And there wasn't really a reason for what we were doing. And I love now that we're focusing more on the feedback piece, where that's how students are going to learn and grow. And so I'm loving how conversations are happening about grading. I still think that we have a long way to go in terms of education, in terms of my school in particular and my team. But I think I'm very excited about the conversations about grading, because I think it's going to help students see the learning that is happening and not be so focused on like how many points you got on something, where they can look at, a proficiency scale or a rubric of some kind and say, here's where I'm at. And I know that because of this feedback. And they're not worried so much about how many points they got, because we're strictly relying on that feedback. So yeah, I would say the most exciting thing in education right now that I'm loving being a part of and observing and kind of sharing my thoughts when I'm able to is just, the idea of grading.
Well, and it's so interesting you went with that, because I couldn't agree more. I think that's been a lot of conversation, even just like internally on our team, is that we feel like this concept of mastery learning and being focused more on feedback than assigning a point being a huge deal. And you run our blog department, which you must get so many blogs submitted to you. A lot of them are about hot topics, grading being one of them. So in question 5, when we always ask people for advice, I just have no idea how you're going to do this one, Kari. So I'm like, just know that I'm your cheerleader here on this one. But legitimately, we put out a blog every day, if not multiple blogs a day. And I don't know how you're going to tell us one piece of advice that you want to give to teachers, but good luck, girl. I'm here to support you. What's your one piece of advice that you'd like to leave teachers with?
Yeah, having an indecisive person just pick one thing is like torture. So I guess I would say, don't be afraid to change things that you've always done. I've never been a big fan of that, only because I would get bored if I'm doing the same thing every year. So every year I take a look at what I've done as a foundation and think about how I can change it and make it better. So I think just always reflecting, always thinking about how the students that you are seeing are different. I've taught 7th grade. This is my 6th year, 7 if you count student teaching 7th grade. And honestly, there's not been one year back to back where the students incoming are the same as the year before. Even though they're the same age, they've experienced different things. They grew up at different times. They have all different kinds of things in their backgrounds. So I think just always going back to how can you change what you've done to make it even better, and finding a new tech tool and applying that. Maybe you're using a lesson that you've used before, but you're using a new tech tool to do it, or something along those lines. So I would say, again, kind of in a general sense, my main advice would just be, don't be afraid to change things that you've done, because for the most part, it's always going to turn out better. And even if it doesn't turn out as well as you'd hoped, then you reflect on it and can do it even better the next time.
Oh, it's great advice, Kari. I just, the idea of like, don't be afraid to change what you're doing. Don't be afraid to reflect on it and make a mistake and try it again. And I try it when I have conversations with teachers. I always try to say, look, if what you are doing, the decision you're making is always because you believe it's the right thing and the best thing for kids, like, you can sleep easy at night. And it's okay if you make mistakes, because you're going to then try to adjust it and do what you now think is best for kids. And so having that and learning that, continue to learn that, and continue to put that in place is absolutely, it's just spot on advice. So Kari, it's bothering me, so I want to have a little like story time here. Like, how long have you been with the team?
I think I officially started in May of 2020.
So not even to a year yet.
No way.
No, it was.
That's why I was saying that, Ray, because I'm like, I know both Ray and I are both think it's been a lot longer.
Of 2019 or 2020?
No, of 2020. It was less than a year.
No way. She's lying, friend. She is lying through her teeth. Kari's been on the team for 25 years.
Kari, Kari had the team. She basically like.
Yeah, I started it with Chad.
Yeah, apparently you started like 19 years before Chad did. But Kari, do you remember when you came on, how many posts we were publishing a week?
We were doing 4 a week.
4 weeks, so 16 a month.
Whoa!
And we just did 45. Yeah, I'm taking a little moment to celebrate you a little bit, Kari. So if anybody's, luckily no one can see you blushing right now.
Yeah, can we go over those numbers again? I'm sorry. You're telling me, aside from Kari's work, you're telling me that in 2020, summer of 2020, we were putting out 4 blog posts a week. Now we're putting out 7, 8, 9, depending on the month. Putting out that a week.
Yeah.
I can't go through those numbers. Jeff, help me.
Yeah. So now we're putting out 10 or more every week. We're putting out honestly 11 or 12 a week, right? Give or take.
All right, I have a real question. Is there such thing as too much content? Is that possible that our blog is like overflowing with information?
I don't believe so. Kari, you can answer your own, but I don't believe so because I think it's all quality.
Oh yeah, I know.
Even if we put out 45 posts and 15 of them said basically the same thing, but they said them from different viewpoints, you never know what wording, what phrasing, what timing, what blog image, what person that wrote it, whatever, what story that is going to be the right one at the right time and right place with the right image, with the right title, all that stuff that's going to hit someone at the right time to make them potentially make a change that could impact kids in a positive way. So in my opinion, you can't possibly put out enough as long as we're working with amazing writers, which we do, that are awesome educators that are trying to share good stuff. So we're going, Ray, we're going to 100.
100 a week? No, we're not.
That's his dream. I think he one time he said 100 a day. That was his ultimate dream.
Yeah, we're going to get there at some point. First, we got to get to 100 a month. And she's like halfway there. What I love is it's 10 months here, and we went from 4 to 45. Well, I'm sorry, what's 16 a month to 45. I mean, that's pretty impressive, Kate.
Well, thank you. I honestly, we have some of the most amazing guest bloggers. Every single time I edit a post, I learned so much. We haven't put out a single post that does not provide value to somebody. So honestly, yes, we're publishing that many, but that's because we have amazing people that are writing for us. And honestly, I couldn't do it without them because they're providing so much great content for us.
That's so cool.
Well, it's a really good point. Ray and I talk about how this podcast is, like, from a selfish side for us, is the best PD you can get, right? Because we get to have these conversations with people. And I've heard that both from you and from Liv, and talking about how editing those blogs and diving in and getting to know these people and therefore exploring a little bit about them, learning, connecting is some of the best PD too. And I remember when early on, I was the one editing blogs, and I remember that too. Like, that's how I started learning so much more and stuff too. So it's really, really cool. So just want to give you a little shout out there. Now, that was sincere, Kari, I promise, but I may or may not have also been setting the bar kind of high for this next part, because we're going to put you on the spot here and see, like, that. I think we just established that Kari's awesome. I think that's good. Everyone knows that. Now you get to prove it. So now we're going to do the next 6 questions. I'm going to throw them at you. 15 seconds or less. And I want to make sure that everyone is very well aware of how where we're at here, because I think everyone has figured out, if you listen to this podcast, we send our questions to our guests so that they can prepare if they choose to. Some people do, and they prepare for this question specifically. Some don't. Kari didn't know she was going to be on a podcast until about 7 or 8 minutes prior to us recording, because we had some issues with another guest that we had to rebook. And we're like, okay, Kari, we need to do recording, and you're on. So, like, all of this one has been with zero prep at all, which has been awesome. But this one is the particularly harder question that we're throwing at you. So I want to make sure I set you up and put the bar high, but I also want to make sure everyone understands. So I've also just given you a whole bunch of time right now to think through. So
to think through nothing that I don't know. So
to think through nothing. Yes, exactly.
You haven't given her the question. She can't think through anything.
Well, okay. To think through how you're going to get out of this still, I don't know.
That's not helpful.
All right, so we're just going to do this. All right, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, Kari, what is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
I'm going to say Flipgrid.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
Right now, I am reading Ground Zero. It's by Alan Gratz. It's actually his new book, historical fiction on 9/11.
Cool. Who do we need to follow on either Twitter or Instagram today? You can give us up to 3.
I'm just going to do one. I'm going to say Brian Faulkner. He actually was my principal my first 5 years of teaching. I think he is the epitome of a leader of a school. So I think he would be someone that is good to follow to see what he's up to.
What's a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast for educators to check out?
Can I say Teach Better?
No, you cannot.
That's cheating.
Oh, that is cheating. I'm going to say Elijah. I'm going to say his name incorrectly. Elijah C.
Yeah,
He
I know who
is
you're
the
talking
Shut Up
about.
and Teach.
Yeah.
He recently has started a podcast, so I would say, supporting someone who's kind of getting off the ground on their podcast
You know what his
would
podcast
be
is
a good
titled?
one.
I can't remember what
Shut
it's
Up
titled.
and Teach, I think.
It is Shut Up and Teach. Okay. Yeah, shout out to Elijah. We love Elijah. He's
do.
always been in our network for a while. All right, well, give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
I think probably planning for the week ahead on Monday. And I know that sounds very like something that you should always do, but I think just like on a Monday morning, thinking through what you're going to be doing for the week and knowing that it could change. But I think that is probably the best way to start your week so that you can have a good foundation for the remaining days.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received.
It's okay, Kari. You can quote me if you want. I'm totally kidding.
There's so many.
What was the quote? Don't work with Jeff?
Yeah, that was the quote. Run, Kari, run.
I think I'm going to go back to Brian Faulkner on this. My first year of teaching, he had us all sign a certificate that said, I messed up, and we had to hang it in our room. And I think just reiterating that point of it's okay to mess up, I think that has stuck with me and has done so many great things for me.
Oh, so good. Jeff, you need a sign that says I messed up. You mess up all the time.
I'm pretty sure I have that sign.
It should be on your forehead. We can get you a sticker.
My face. I always look like I mess it up.
Kari, you get the Teach Better trophy.
Yes, the trophy's on its way.
Yes.
Oh, sweet.
It'll be shipped from our Illinois office.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Kari, I can't believe that you didn't prepare. You didn't have notes in front of you. You just killed this episode. I'm so excited to not only have our listeners get to know you a little bit better, but hopefully have them connect with you more because we send people to you all the time, obviously, that want to blog with us, but you're an incredible educator. And I am just so excited that we finally got to feature you on Teach Better Talk. Would you mind sharing how people can stay connected, like Twitter handles, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I am on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Pitstick, just MISS Pitstick. And then you can also reach out to me at Kari@teachbetter.com if you have any questions about blogging.
I love it. You can find all the links and resources and everything we mentioned this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as the links for connecting with Kari and keeping that conversation going. You can also check out all the blogs that she helps us put out over at teachbetter.com as well. So make sure you head over there. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators. And just share this podcast with them. Kari, I'll tell you what, with very no time at all to prepare, 1, thank you for jumping in and helping us get another episode knocked out. 2, can't believe it took this long to get you on the podcast, but that's a whole other conversation. But 3, just really appreciate you taking some time and providing a lot of value. I'm excited for people to listen and continue to learn more about you. Just thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anything to chat with you and Ray, anytime.
So
I love it. All right. Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.